everyone, welcome back to Gamevine. My name is Dave and thank you again for joining us on another Fast 5 Top 5 board games list. And today's theme is all centered around dexterity. And if you know me personally, or if you know what kind of games that I like, you might argue to say that this is probably my favorite genre, or at least one of my favorite. And I know there's not much strategy in a lot of these dexterity games, though you might be fooled on some of them. That is probably why I like these games. It's the reverse most of the time. And these games I can just let my hair down and have fun and, you know, not think too much and play a dexterity game. And most of the time these games are visually appealing too, which brings in crowds. So these games are good for parties and they're good just to set up around your game store and hope that other people will come along and play, because they probably will if you're playing some of these. And we have came a long way since the day of Jenga and all the kids' dexterity games that are out. And now there are a buku amount of dexterity games for kids and adults to choose from. And because of that, it was hard to make this top 5 list because I just wanted to keep adding things. So note, if your game is not on here, doesn't mean it's a bad game. These games are just, in my opinion, some of the top tier dexterity games. And I tried my best to pick different kind of dexterity games, like flicking dexterity games, building dexterity games, and catapult dexterity games. So I just didn't pick one type of my favorite. I tried to pick one of my favorites from each one of those categories. And if you've watched a Fast 5 before, you already know that I only have 60 seconds to talk about these games. And I'm gonna do my best to get as much information out there as I can. I designed that because I just want to get the word of mouth out about these games so you can find out if this is your type of game to play, and you can go look for a review by some of the other contributors in the hobby, or there are a few of these games that I have a review for. So let's get to the games, but before I do that, I have 2 honorable mentions that I would like to talk about. One I have, one I don't. So the first honorable mention here is Click Clack Lumberjack or Bling Bling Gemstone. I have both of them here, though I much prefer the more colorful version of the Gemstone. I have a review on Click Clack Lumberjack if you would like to go and watch that and find out how to play and what this consists of. Basically, it's just having a tree and you are knocking little pieces of bark off the tree with an axe or a pick, and in this case there are gems. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. That is a good game, so I wanted to say something about that. And the last honorable mention I would like to talk about, I don't have, it is called Disc Duelers. Now, Disc Duelers is a dexterity flicking disc game, but the environment is made up of things that you have, like a book that you'll make a tunnel out of, or a few drinks, or a weird box. That is what I think is really cool about it. Also, all the characters, the disc, they have cards that have special abilities on them and they're all different. And this is a competitive game where you're trying to knock out your opponents, and it's up to 4 or 5 players. So I like this and I just wanted to give a shout out for it. There's a picture or 2 flashing on the bottom of the screen, so you can go check it out if you like it. But let's get to the actual top 5 list and start with number 5. Here we go. And number 5 on the list fills my niche of old school dexterity games, and today it is Arch Rival. Now this is made by Parker Brothers. It's pretty old school. I think back in the 80s is when it was made, and what you're trying to do is take pieces in and out of these buckets while you're on this arch and not have it collapse. Now, these are highlighter colored pieces. You'll be rolling 2 different dice, a pneumatic dice and a colored dice, and that's going to tell you which bucket and how many of those pieces that you're going to be putting in. I actually have a review on this game, so if you want to learn more, please go there to check it out. This is easily one of the most visually appealing games that I own, dexterity-wise, and the crash is so satisfying. This is one of those games I don't mind losing, because just the angst and the adrenaline that happen when you play this game. If you crash the arch, it's kind of a bummer for a second, but it is such a spectacular crash. So that is Arch Rival by Parker Brothers. This is easily available. There's a lot of copies out there. I know it's old school, but it's not out of print. So that is the time. I hope that this is something that you would like. Number 5, Arch Rival. So number 4 here in the list is my building dexterity game in the list, and this one is called Villa Paletti. Now, Villa Paletti actually won the Spiel des Jahres, which is the #1 board game in Germany award when it came out, and some might argue that it didn't deserve it, but I think it's a fun, colorful game, and again, very visually appealing. What you're doing, you're trying to make, you're trying to get points by rolling this dice and figuring out what color that you have, and then go after that color without touching any other pieces. There are different pillars that are different shape that are worth more points. Basically, you have to draw from the bottom and place on the top. You can use your hands, you can use this hook, but you're trying to accumulate the most points over 3 rounds. Now, I have a review for this, so if you want to learn more about this game, go and check that out, though I think this is a good addition and stands strong at 4. You can also build more floors, and that is a valid strategy in the game, and a few times I've built it all the way up, which is really cool. So that is Villa Paletti. So there are multiple different copies of this game. You can go out and find any one. This one might be hard to find, but if it says Villa Paletti on it, it's a good game. So go out and get this one. That's number 4. The time's up. It's been up for a while. Let's go on to number 3. Okay, so number 3 on my list, I don't have, but I've played it multiple times. It is within my game group. And this is it's a weird dexterity game. It's called a Riff Raff, and it has a big wooden boat that has a counterbalance on the bottom of it, and it's got strategy. You're playing cards, number cards, to see if you go first, and or on what portion of the boat that you're playing. Here's some pictures to show that off. You can place your pieces on planks on the actual boat, but the goal of the game is to be the person with no more pieces, and that is how you win. The cool thing about this is the boat will fall over eventually. You can catch some of the pieces that fall with your hands and eliminate them from the game. This is just one of those eye-popping games. I don't have this one, but this, like I said, with Arch Rival would just be one of the, magnum opus design games when it comes to visuals, because it's just stunning. And there's some strategy to it, and I mean, it's induced so much laughter when I've played this game with whoever plays it. If you're bad at dexterity games, you'll still like Riff Raff. So that is the time. I hope you like that one. Go check it out. The number 2 is coming your way right now. So number 2 is my disc flicking dexterity game installment, and this by far is one of my everyday go-tos when people ask to play a game, and this is called Flick 'em Up. I'm not going to get too many of these pieces out because it's so much. This is a deluxe version, but basically you set up your own scenario. There are multiple scenarios in this. You have good guys and bad guys, up to 6 players can play, and you're going to be robbing banks, you're going to be killing outlaws, sheriffs, there is an expansion out right now where you ride horses, but this is just a good chunky game. Again, all these dexterity games are just visually appealing, and is why I just eat this stuff up, because I am an aesthetics person. They have a lot of cool things like these boxes here that when people die, you just put them, your hit points and the people in the very back here. I mean, I can't say much about this game other than it is just the best disc flicking game out there in my opinion right now. Play a little Western music in the back and you have your theme set and match. So that is the time for Flick 'em Up. This one is a bit harder to find, though they're probably going to be bringing out more editions soon and a lesser quality one, so you can get it for a bit cheaper. So let's get on to number 1 now, and I'll tell you what my very favorite dexterity game in the world is. Let's go. And here it is, everyone, number 1, and it might sound silly, but it's called Coconuts and/or Coconuts Duo. Now, this fills my niche for just a catapult dexterity game, and go figure, it is my very first one on the list here. And this is basically what you do. You flick these coconuts and try to make them in the cup, and you have other players doing so as well. The red cup is worth an extra shot, and as you can see, I am terrible at this game. You also can play cards on people that have special abilities, which has them shoot with their eyes closed or with their elbow, which is just kooky fun. I've not met a player or a person that has disliked this game. It's just very charming, and the gauging on the spring here is hard to get used to. So there will be times where you're hitting a lot of good shots, but one game you'll just do awful. There's an ongoing joke with this card here. that I have in my hand called Waffle Cone, and every time it comes up we go Waffle Cone. It's kind of like our mantra in the game, which is neat. But this is Coconuts and Coconuts Duo. This is an expansion. You can add this to the 4 base set and get a 6-player game, or you can just buy more and have like an 8-player game. It could be crazy. You can take turns, you can go fast. I know I'm talking more than a minute about this game, but I love Coconuts Duo. I have a lot more coconuts, pink and green ones. You can get them at the Mayday website, but that is my #1 favorite, everyone. And I know it sounds silly, but you don't knock this game until you try it. And thank you so much for joining me again on this Fast 5 Dexterity Game Edition. I hope it was insightful, and I hope you're able to pick up some of these fun games, because I'm telling you, you're not gonna regret it. If you get any of these games, you're gonna have people in your group that like them, whether they be serious gamers or just a novice to the actual hobby. So until next time that I see you, have a great rest of your day and a great time with all you play. I've been Dave. You heard it here from the Game Vine. I'm out.